If you feel stressed, anxious, or even just plain annoyed when you have to spend time with your family, then make sure you watch through this video because I have some great practical advice for you. I'm Melly, and I've been helping people work through their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and improve their relationships for the past 12, almost 13 years now. I'm also a lifelong Christian, so I'm very passionate about having a biblical worldview integrated into my counseling as well as the teaching that I do here on YouTube. So whether or not it's the holidays or any other time of the year, it may be hard for some people to have to interact with their family. Maybe you have a past history that's just negative, maybe even traumatic, or you come from a toxic or high conflict family. How do you manage that effectively? Well, we know that the Bible says that in Matthew 5:9, that blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. So it should be your goal to come together with your family, but also keep and maintain the peace. Now, what does that look like? Here are some practical thoughts to consider. Having healthy boundaries and really thinking ahead of time before you go prayerfully, what are the topics of discussion or just the things in general that may create a negative environment when you come together with your family, and make an effort to sort of steer clear of those topics of conversation. We all know that politics and religion can always be some of those main things. So really pray about it and ask God to give you wisdom and discernment as well as discipline to be able to manage those conversations if they do come up. It's always a great idea to practice saying something like, let's agree to disagree. If you do happen to get into a conversation with someone that might be heading towards an argument, that's a great sort of way of diffusing the situation, and hopefully the other person will be respectful of that and walk along with you in terms of changing the conversation. If not, because I do get that question a lot, what do you do if the person is not respectful of your boundaries? Well, you just continue to set a boundary and to be firm and consistent. You know, a lot of times you may have heard the saying that you teach other people how to treat you by what you allow. And oftentimes, people who have an issue with boundaries feel very angry or resentful towards others because of the fact that they haven't thought about what their needs and wants are and how to manage that with someone else's needs and wants. Relationships are not supposed to always be one-sided. That leads to the resentment and frustration that you might be feeling when you're interacting with your family. So changing the subject, saying things like, let's agree to disagree, or having to just walk away. You can say something like, I would really like to change the conversation right now just because I think it's going to lead to an argument. So I think it would be a good idea to just switch up what we're talking about. And again, if the other person is respectful, then they should be able to concede to that in order to keep the peace. However, if you're dealing with someone who is unpleasant or just has those toxic traits, then you may just have to state that and walk away. Just say, I'm going to have to walk away right now, or I'm just going to have to leave. The first time may always be kind of hard. It gets easier every time after that. And also people really, when you're firm with your boundaries, people learn very, very quickly. So I would really encourage you to pray about these things and practice. If you're not used to saying no or setting boundaries, some people have a hard time with confidence, and those kinds of skills can be very difficult to manage and navigate. So practicing it on your own, whether you're visualizing it and picturing yourself doing it or actually saying out loud in a mirror, can be really, really helpful. And this is also a great technique for other areas of life as well that I will be sharing in future videos. But I wanted to say one last thing. Being a peacemaker is not just a matter of ignoring the things that bother you or sweeping them under the rug or pretending. I'm going to link in the description some great books written by psychologists who are also Christians that use a biblical worldview for what they teach, and I think that would be really helpful. But I also want to give you the biblical example of the prophet Eli. When you have the chance, open up 1 Samuel and read through chapter 2. It's always good to read things in context so that you can ask God, because His word is alive and active, to speak to your heart and give you that wisdom that you're searching for, which He always gives generously. But Eli was a prophet who had to face some pretty serious consequences for not dealing with his two sons. They were sinning and just doing some really bad stuff, and he was just completely ignoring it. So I think that's a great example, but there are many, many more that you can lean on and lean into in your time of Bible study, or even in the books that I'm going to list for you in the description. With that being said, if you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That's going to help other people who are looking for this kind of content to find it as well. And make sure you subscribe, because I have many more videos on managing thoughts and relationships coming up.